I love Christmas. In my house, it's actually only Christmas on this one bookshelf. I wanted to get it looking a little bit Christmassy because I wanted to talk to you guys about Christmas and a bit of a survival guide to Christmas with an ostomy. When I talk about Christmas, I'm talking about really that period kind of 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Christmas, you know, when kind of all the Christmas parties and the, oh, let's go for a quick Christmas drink starts, up until just after New Year, really, when everybody's like, I'm never leaving my house or drinking an alcoholic beverage again. That period in between is what I'm talking about because it really is over that whole kind of festive sort of season that, you know, we tend to overindulge. You know, we tend to eat a lot more, we tend to drink a lot more, we tend to go out a lot more. Our routine becomes very disrupted, whether it's that we're visiting friends or having family over or whatever it is. Things just, there's a lot of change and all of that can have a little bit of an effect on your stoma. So I just kind of wanted to touch on a few of those things just to try and make this sort of Christmas season as seamless as possible for you. As I said, you know, this kind of tends to be a time when we overindulge, and the more food and drink that we take in, obviously the more output that there's going to be from the stoma. So I want you to just be extra careful when you're ordering your supplies this month. Ensure that you order enough. Bear in mind that you're probably going to need to change your bag or empty your bag more than normal. So just make sure that whatever you would normally get for that period, just make sure that you've got a bit more. If you give Charter or whoever you receive your ostomy supplies through a ring, you know, they'll be able to help you with this and talk you through kind of how many extra that you may or may not need. Make sure that you do it within plenty of time. I would kind of urge you to do it over the sort of coming weeks. I'm certainly going to be putting my order in this week. You know, delivery people aren't going to deliver on certain days over Christmas and New Year. Charter or your healthcare providers' offices, there are going to be days where they're closed over this period. Don't forget there's that 2-week window of them needing to get the prescription from your doctor, and also your doctors might be closed. So just do it in plenty of time. Give yourself loads of time, so you just don't need to panic that you're going to wake up Boxing Day and have no supplies and no way of getting any. Just give them a call now, get it sorted out, you're good to go. I think what you can and can't eat becomes, you know, it can sometimes be a bit of a concern for people with a stoma. There are just more foods that you maybe wouldn't have in your everyday diet. You know, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, sort of comes a lot more into our diets around the Christmas time, and also just richer foods, you know, mince pies and things that are soaked in brandy and pickles and chutneys, and it can be a lot more work for the stomach and for the gut generally. I had my operation to have my stoma fitted in the have it fitted, is that the right term? I don't know. Anyway, I had it in the August, whatever it was. So by the time Christmas came around, I thought I was quite used to sort of life with my stoma, and then my first Christmas, suddenly I was like, had such a high output. I was having to change my bag all the time, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on, like why it's suddenly gone so wild. And then of course it suddenly dawned on me that it was all this lovely, delicious, rich food that I was eating. It was just taking its toll on my digestive system. You just have to think, however you would normally react, that's probably going to be sort of magnified. As I said, there's the, you know, the Brussels sprouts, the cabbages, that all tend to be quite high in fibre. But then there's often maybe a lot more nuts are around, and also just generally in our food a lot more dried fruits, sort of like mince pies, as I said, chutneys, also things like cheeses, you know, Stilton, any of the really smelly cheeses. They can all have a real effect on the output of the stoma. Any more extra wind makes stools a bit looser, sometimes make it a little bit more uncomfortable around the actual stoma site itself. So it's just worth bearing in mind, you know, when you're thinking about what you're going to eat over the Christmas period. I'm not suggesting for a moment that you don't eat any of those things. I, for one, will certainly be enjoying my Christmas dinner. I never let the stoma get in the way of my Christmas dinner. But it's just worth thinking about, you know, like for me, I really love, you know, the turkey dinner and all the trimmings. So I still go all out on that. But I'm not really so bothered about the cheeses. So I tend to hang back there, you know. So it's just worth kind of thinking about if there's any things that you particularly do like or that you're not really bothered about. The more you think about it in advance, the less of a panic it's going to be on Christmas Day or over the whole, you know, Christmas period when you're stood in front of this wonderful table of food, suddenly think, oh sugar, what shall I eat, what shall I not eat, what have I had too much of, what have I not had enough of. If you just kind of give it a little bit of a thought beforehand of like, well, I'm not going to eat the nuts, but I am going to go crazy on mince pies, you know, it just sort of it just saves a worry at the time if you can just give it a little bit of a thought beforehand, and also just be aware of which foods it is that's gonna maybe have a bit more of an effect on your stoma than would ordinarily. You may also find that ordinarily, you know, there are certain foods that aren't such an issue for you, but it's just over the Christmas period where you're having a lot of rich foods a lot of the time, that it builds up, and then you notice the effect of foods more than you would if you were just having a little bit on its own and then not having any of it for the next few days. You know, you might just notice it a little bit more over the Christmas period. If you are having a lot of fibre, you might find that you get a blockage, especially if you have an ileostomy. That it tends to be more common for an ileostomy than a colostomy. But if you do get a blockage, you know, don't panic. I know that it is something that's been spoken about on MyOstomy before, so check out that video. But if you do get a blockage, just try and drink lots and lots of water, just to kind of keep things moving through as much as possible and to stop yourself getting too dehydrated. You can massage your stomach in a clockwise direction just to aid the digestion, and also having a warm bath just to help your stomach muscles relax. Those things can really, really help. But if you are concerned, or if you are in a lot of pain or vomiting, do get in touch with your stoma nurse or your GP or whoever it is who you would normally talk to if you had any concerns with regards to your stoma, just to kind of make sure that everything's okay. But drinking lots of water, that really goes for everybody. And again, you know, when your routine is all thrown out by Christmas and visiting people or whatever it is that you're up to, it can be hard to remember to drink water. Something that I find really useful is to put a reminder on my phone so that it beeps every now and then. It just reminds me to drink water. With the colostomy, which is what I have, if you don't drink water regularly, you might find that your stools start pancaking, where they become a bit thicker and then they don't drop into the bag, and they pancake and they push the bag out, which can cause a leak. So it's really useful to just stay on top of your water intake, just to kind of keep everything moving well. The same with an ileostomy. You know, it's quite easy to get quite dehydrated if you have an ileostomy. So just make sure that you're kind of drinking water sort of constantly throughout the period, just to kind of keep everything ticking over nicely. It is worth bearing in mind that alcohol does loosen the stools, so you will get a quicker output. And also, if you're drinking fizzy alcoholic drinks like champagne or beer or lager, that can make you more windy. I personally find that if I've been drinking like wine or something and then I have champagne, that for some reason that really speeds up the output from my stoma. It's something about having alcohol and then adding bubbles on top of it. It just really, really makes things move very, very quickly. So I normally, in those situations, if I know that I'm going to have a couple of drinks like at Christmas, then I normally take a loperamide, an anti-diarrhea tablet, just to kind of slow down the output a bit. I just personally find that makes me more comfortable, but it's up to you, whether you want to abstain, whether you want to take a loperamide, whether you just want to have one drink and just, change the bag more frequently. However you want to handle it is completely up to you, but just bear in mind that it will, I think we're used to thinking about foods having an effect on our stomach, but actually drinks, and especially alcoholic drinks, will really have an effect as well. So it's worth bearing that in mind. If you are concerned about how your stoma is going to be over the Christmas period, I would speak with your stoma nurse, your GP. Just double check with them like when they're open, and if you do need any medical assistance over the period when they're not there, what's the best way to go about it, who's the best person to call. It's always more useful, I find, if you have all these numbers and information ahead of time. You can just stick it up on your fridge. Hopefully you're not going to need it, but if you do, you've got it all there ready to go, rather than on Christmas morning ringing around trying to find out who's open, where's open, what pharmacies are open, or whatever it might be. At least it gives you that peace of mind of knowing that should anything go wrong, you haven't got to worry. You've got all the information that you need, and you can just enjoy your day. And that really is the point of the whole video. I just want you to be able to just go confidently into your Christmas and then just enjoy the whole Christmas and festive season. And finally, just a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!